I lost by 5.5 points.
What do you think about the guy that was fighting that guy in the Seattle game from the crowd?
I don't know. I think I would do that too.
Why?
That would be mean.
You realize these people, if they ever were to get a hold of you, that guy would strangle you with one of his hands.
That's the whole point. You know they can't get a hold of you, and if they do, you can sue the shit out of them. So either I'm going to get a shit ton of money, or they're never going to come back with me anyway. So it's a win-win situation.
That guy tried climbing into the stands. That was almost the Malice in the Palace. That'd have been so cool.
Even if he gets on me for a second, he's going to be taken off me so quick. I just want a bunch of money from this guy.
All right, I'm sure we'll talk more about it, so let's get loaded. You sound loaded talking like that. Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you once again for tuning into the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan, and that is DJ Primo, and DJ Primo is on record saying that he is willing to fight an NFL player.
I did not say that. I said I'm willing to yell at them from the stands and argue with them.
Man, that guy would have ate that fan. That one fan was pretty big, and we're talking about Jags and Seahawks at the end of the game, where the fans were yelling at one of the players that got kicked out. That player, I don't care, that fan looked like a big guy. He would get crushed. He'd get eaten. And you weighing 135 pounds, he'd have taken you out with like his elbow.
Now.
What are you?
I'm 140 now.
Oh, that's just 140 of pure dad bod. That you
Dude, I don't think you understand. It doesn't fucking matter. Tucky Shady comes after me either. He's gonna get stopped because there's a million people around, so I'm in the clear because
all those people are getting out of the way.
I mean, the security guards, all those people are stopping him, and all the people around him. Or if he does get on me, somebody's gonna get him off, and I'm gonna get a shit ton of money out of it anyway. So an apology.
Maybe, unless you're provoking. I don't know the law on this, but man, remember when Ron Artest almost killed that guy? Now imagine what a football player would do.
Yeah, I bet that guy's rich now.
Maybe, or mentally challenged, because Ron Artest kicked the shit out of him. Well, that's one of our instant reactions to Week 14, the football version almost of the Malice in the Palace. But let's kick it off. We got our Week 14 instant reaction episode. The Sunday games just concluded. I'm giving you a fair warning that several of my instant reactions are going to be fantasy football related because we are in the playoffs. This, in most leagues, is the first round of the playoffs, and heading into next week, obviously, is your semifinals matchup. So let's get it kicked off with Thursday. What do you got for the Falcons beating the Saints 20-17?
I'm going Thursday part 2 for a single syllable segment here. I said Thursday last week because I was drinking, and I didn't see much of the game. This week I'm saying Thursday, not because I was drinking, but we just need to leave Thursday to drink it and just get the NFL out of there. Because the Saints, they just did look exhausted. Matt Ryan, I mean, he usually looks like shit, but he looked like even more pile of shit out there. I don't know how they won. It's just not fun football. Two good teams that look like the Broncos and the Jets today, basically.
Is it safe to assume that next week it's going to be Thursday part 3?
We might as well.
You might as well pencil you in for that one. My single-syllable instant reaction is conservative ball. And by that, I mean the Saints could have easily kicked the field goal.
At Amazon, we've got millions.
Is that you? That was interesting. What do you got going on there? Amazon commercial? Is that a new sponsor on the podcast?
I love this holiday. I thought I put it on mute, and I actually took myself off screen. So that was just there was a technical error right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. Unedited, unfiltered. Everyone's going to hear it. Actually, we'll go back and we'll erase that one. Let me start over. Mine is conservative ball, meaning in the end of that game, the Saints could have easily kicked the field goal to tie it, or once they didn't, Drew Brees could have been safe and not thrown that ball in triple coverage, which ended in an interception. Instead, they ended up going for the touchdown. basically ended the game, a little bit of debacle at the end. But what they did by going for it was exciting, and that's the exact thing that I want, you want, fans want, and it backfired. And I hated seeing that because now it brings up the question, do you play boring at the end of games and try to extend it? Or do you do what the Saints did at this last time and really try to go for it and try to capitalize and win it in regulation when you're on the road? So I want to ask you, do you think that they play this differently next time just because of this bad experience?
No, it's Drew Brees. I mean, depends on the quarterback you have. You have Drew Brees, no Alvin Kamara. Might as well try to end the game. I mean, you're trying to score. Like, you have Aaron Rodgers on your team. You're not going to freaking play for the field goal. You're going to play for the win. You have Drew Brees. You don't expect him to throw that interception.
I know, and that's exactly why I want teams to do this, and I hate that it backfired. Not only because I took the Saints against the spread and lost, but also because of the fact that I don't want teams to fail doing this because I want the exciting ending. I don't want teams to wait and go for field goals and stuff. I want the exciting ending. That's why I hated that this didn't work.
It was exciting either way, though. So, like, it was an exciting last play because it was an interception to win the game for the Falcons, so it was still exciting whether they scored or not.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been, like, now in the future if they just kicked the field goal, because before that...
No, they're not going to do that. You're thinking so off of the thinking. They're not going to just change their mind now because they threw wrong.
Oh, you got really staticky there. You all right? Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm just sitting here.
Okay, good. Let's go on to the Bills and Colts. Bills win. Exciting-ish game due to the climate. Bills win 13-7. What do you got?
What do I have here? I said retirement speech. You know what? It really is just time for Nathan Peterman to retire. All right, like he's got 2 games, 2 starts. He's got 5 interceptions, and he died. So if he's ever actually can return, if he has that ability, he should just say fuck it and retire right there. Like whenever someone tries to put him in the game again, just retire on the spot.
Just call it good. I love that.
Call it good.
I love that because when players get just hit in the head and then their bodies kind of go limp, but their hands go stuck in the air, we call it playing the air guitar. It's like when they're concussed and just out. And you text me, Peterman, air guitar, and I didn't see the play, and then I did, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, air guitar and a face wash. He literally just got douched in snow.
It was great.
I didn't even realize it. But my instant reaction... Oh, no, absolutely. It's just like when Amari Cooper got his concussion and he happened to sprain his ankle. He probably woke up the next day like, who the fuck screwed with my ankle?
Yeah, shit happens.
What a terrible experience. Blackout. My instant reaction is snowblower. There should be a rule that either allows a snowblower to literally go out onto the field and clear a path, or the team that kicks the ball shouldn't be allowed to clear their own path for the kicker and the holder. It has to be one way or the other. It's basically like hitting the ball in the rough and then trying to improve your lie. You should have to play it as it is, or they should make a rule that totally goes over it, because you have all these offensive linemen.
I love that.
Well, they have their hands as shovels. Why doesn't the defense go over there? Because they're not in formation. They're not going to say hut. Why don't they go over there and just screw with them until the play clock goes back? Why aren't they doing that? Is there a rule against that you know of?
They could probably delay a game for that if you did something like that.
But you're not screwing with the ball. You're playing with the field.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's like kicking the ball though. It's like laying on top of a guy. You don't just get delay a game from doing anything with the ball. You can also get it for laying on a guy. That would come into play here.
That's why if there is a rule like that, if there wasn't a delayed game or something, well then implement the snowblower rule or implement the don't improve your lie rule, because that's bullshit. I want change.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. I was dying watching that. But
it's like watching that one fucking guy trying to fix the carpet in that Badger game.
In the Badgers game, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One guy, 15 minutes by himself.
No, the Badger game.
The Badgers-Ohio State game?
No, the Badger.
No, it was Badgers. I was watching it. It was the Badgers game.
Oh, yeah. It was the Badger game, though.
Well, let's go on from the Badgers game to the Bears and the Bengals. The Bears, the lowly Bears, 33-7. What do you got?
You go first.
Oh, okay. So, as Tupac once said, I see no changes. This Bengals team has been the same forever. Like, this is the same team that they've just always been. From 2011 to 2015, they lost in the wild card games 5 straight times. Last year, they only had 6 wins. And now, after this embarrassing loss to the Bears...
Nice, I like that. Embarrassing.
You like that?
Yeah.
They're basically out of the playoffs, though. And this is a case of one of those teams that's just stuck in mediocrity due to the quarterback play. Change is needed. My theme today is change, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
I even like the idea of having them take a quarterback and having him sit. I kind of compare it to like when Phillip Rivers had to sit behind Breeze for a little while. I think that's what they should do with Dalton and a quarterback situation because they're okay with Dalton, but he's not the answer. They need to move on, and I think this is the year to do it. Like they have to make a change. They're the same team. But nothing has changed about that team since 2011.
And Jordan Howard went off today.
Yeah,
that was
Jordan
nice
Howard.
To see. They let the Bears let Mitchell Trubisky kind of open up, and they opened up for Howard, and he got his 23 carries instead of the 12, 147, and 2 touchdowns. That's what Howard owners want to see right in the first week of the playoffs there.
That was going to be one of the things that I was going to talk about, but then I looked at his remaining schedule, and it's kind of tough. So I was going to say if he was like a must start in like DFS, now that they've kind of like recommitted to him, but their next couple of games are against some tougher teams, so I didn't want to go down that road. Do you have anything for this game?
Next.
Even though you kind of lied because you went to Howard.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to build off what you said.
Well, your dream scenario of the Green Bay Packers...
Love it, baby.
Winning out, Aaron Rodgers can come back. They beat the Browns overtime, 27-21. Great timing with your song there. That was nice.
Thank you. Why don't you take a drink?
Yes, have at it.
My single syllable is RELAX. And run the table, baby. It is time. I am so excited. They're about to be... Aaron Rodgers is going to get a scan in the next 2 days. It's going to look good. He's going to be announced to come back. My half chubby right now, my half boner is going to turn into a full boner. I'm going to go 6 to midnight. I'm going to be erect walking around work all week. I might get fired for sexual harassment just because I have a boner constantly. But you know what? Aaron Rodgers is coming back to run the table. Everything's going to fall into place. And the Packers are going to go to the fucking playoffs, and everybody's going to be scared.
Is Jordy Nelson going to become relevant again now that Aaron Rodgers is back? You think so?
Yeah, but it's going to be like so late. I bet most rosters that'll be in the playoffs next week don't even have Jordy on them.
So unless you were...
Because you took him so early.
Yeah, exactly, because that's your number 1 receiver for sure. So
I am so fucking excited, man. Carolina, Minnesota, Detroit. Let's run right through. I wish it was like Carolina, Atlanta right now, so we could beat those fuckers.
Dirty Birds.
Got Atlanta.
Dirty Birds. You already got them. You already lost to them once. Yeah. You don't want to lose again.
I know. That's the only team that's like in our way. That's why I said Atlanta and Green Bay is going to make the playoffs. I'm calling it a wild card.
My instant reaction on this one is based on some fantasy talk that we had leading up to the week on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at Loaded Box, and there was a question posed about... Now that Aaron Jones was apparently healthy and back, who are you using basically between Jones and Williams? And you had responded saying that probably Williams this week because even though Jones is back, Williams has been doing good, especially in fantasy. I think he's been better in fantasy than he has been in real life.
Yeah.
And that kind of continued again today. So my instant reaction is second round of fantasy football running back. You called it. Williams outcarried Jones 15-4 today. Williams added 7 for 69 on a touchdown. A wide open touchdown, by the way. What were the Browns doing?
Aaron Jones could have scored that one too, just as easily.
Well, exactly. So I'm getting out ahead of this one. So is Williams the play for your RB2 or flex in your second round playoff matchup next week, or are you going to see a little bit more Aaron Jones next week?
It's until you see otherwise right now, because let's be honest. As far as running the ball, 3.3 yards a carry, only had 49 yards. Didn't really have a good game.
Right.
Jamal Williams. I think Aaron Jones is a better runner, but they just kind of dominated the Packer offensive line that whole entire game.
Yep.
The only thing that really separated was that one long pass where he was wide open, which any running back should have caught out of that situation because he was uncovered. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time. nothing special. It's like that doesn't make you more special. But I'm sticking with Jamal Williams when Aaron Rodgers is back. I can see Aaron Jones being a little bit more used because when Aaron Rodgers is out there, you're throwing the ball more. Aaron Jones is a better pass receiving back, so you could see a lot more of that mixed in. I'll listen to some stuff throughout the week, let you guys know.
I know that it's going to depend on who else you have, but are you comfortable with Williams as your RB2 or your flex next week?
You kind of have to at this point.
I'm asking for a friend. I may have him next week.
Flex, yeah, I would tell you here otherwise. I know everybody was freaking out because Aaron Jones listed as number 1 on the depth chart, which clearly meant nothing because he didn't start or anything.
Right.
But I just think he's the better running back, and they're not comfortable with his knee injury completely yet, so they're mixing him in a little bit. But eventually, they're going to use those fresh legs.
Yep.
Come time that they need him, especially these next 3 games, and he'll make some plays.
Yeah, and I'm due to jinx him. I mean, I got to buy this week in the league I have him in, so Aaron Jones is probably your guy next week just for the fact that I'll screw it up.
I wouldn't use Aaron Jones because you have no idea where they're going to be with that.
Right.
I would definitely be more likely to use Jamal Williams.
Yeah, in a weird situation where you might have them both. Actually, it might not even be that weird because when Aaron Jones got hurt, Williams was probably still available. So you actually could. I think if I had them both, I would still use Williams. Like you said, you got to see something.
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving here. Chiefs, 26, finally back in the win column. Raiders, 15. What do you got?
I got product maintenance. Is this production refund going to maintain for the guys? 25 for 116 in a touchdown. We haven't seen a game like this on a Kareem Hunt for fucking, 10 weeks.
I'd say 8 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, 8 weeks. Who knows? But those guys, first week of the playoffs, who loved him for the first 4 weeks, got a big game out of him again. Lots of playoff teams hoping he can maintain this if they won. Chargers and Dolphins are the next 2. To me, those are actually really good matchups.
Those are great matchups.
Chargers are one of the worst against the run. Dolphins are decent against the run, aren't they?
They're okay. I mean, they're okay.
Yeah.
If a team were to get ahead, then they're screwed. Exactly.
Yeah, but the Chargers are one of the worst against the run, so it's a great matchup next week. And then if you get to the championship game against the Dolphins,
it's not
it's
a bad
still
matchup.
Yeah, I think you can hopefully count on. I mean, it looks like their offense is coming back into what they were a little earlier.
First quarter of the season form.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was good to see from them. My instant reaction is let down. I was let down by this game. I was let down by the fantasy production from the Oakland players. I'm kind of just let down this season by these 2 teams in general. I really want to crown the Chargers the AFC West champs right now. Their previous history and then that division in general just scares me. But you've got the Raiders at Dallas next week. I'm going to talk a little bit about a fantasy here. I said I was going to do a lot of fantasy instant reactions here, so here's one of them. And it's about the Raiders skill players. They got at Dallas next week. Are you comfortable using Cooper, Crabtree, or Lynch in your semifinal matchup?
It seems like every time Derek Carr feels like we have a great matchup, everybody uses them and those guys right now, and they fucking suck, so no. Right. Dallas has a great pass rush. The secondary is terrible, but at this point, I don't trust Derek Carr and those wide receivers because they can't fucking do anything when they have such perfect matchups. And if people sit there and talk about them next week, like, Derek Carr is a great matchup, it's like, look at all their other great matchups that we thought they would have, and they haven't done shit. So I don't trust them. Yeah,
this was the absolute best game.
I definitely don't trust Wentz.
Right, this was the absolute best game that they could have ran into for a boom week. Yeah. You had the Chargers that struggle, or the Chiefs that struggle against the run and the pass, and you put up 15 points.
Terrible. Yeah.
My take on that would be, I would probably say yes to Crabtree due to the fact that the matchup's okay against Dallas. And then with Carr, it kind of seems like he's got a little bit of that fourth quarter magic in him, where even if he's not doing that good, you might snag a touchdown at the end.
But it was ugly, though.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right with you with the other ones, though. I'd prefer other options for Lynch and Cooper, especially just due to lack of touches in general for Lynch and due to Cooper and injury. I mean, he basically didn't play again today.
Yeah, the Chiefs didn't have Marcus Peters, right?
You're correct.
And Michael Crabtree only went for seven receptions and 60 yards. It's almost no production.
Especially when they were down the entire second half and were throwing the ball.
Exactly. It's just awful.
That should have been an easy 100-yard game.
There's nobody I want to. There's nobody anymore. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, me too. Let's jump to the Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys take it 30-10.
Right.
Want me to go first on this one?
Sure.
All right, my single syllable is 1 week waiver ad. This question is going to be asked all week. Is Rod Smith a priority waiver? And I would assume that you'd start him, but are you starting him for 1 week before Zeke returns? Because he posted 160 total yards and 2 touchdowns this week. I will say, remember that it was against the Giants D. The Giants D sucks against running backs in regards to fantasy and real life. But this matchup against Oakland that they have next week, like you just talked about, Kareem Hunt broke out of his slump, went over 100, had a touchdown. It's beatable. It's a good matchup. So do you have enough faith in Rod Smith in the semifinals of your playoffs to pick him up and use him? And I know it's going to probably depend on who else you have.
I'll tell you why. This is why. Rod Smith, number 1 at this point. Number 2, Alfred Morris still got majority of the carries, 19 for 62 yards. 6. It just seemed like this is what happens in football, people. Every now and then, it's not every now and then. There's a game plan going into every game, and it just works.
All right, you sounded like you were underwater, so why don't you try again there about Rod Smith?
How do I sound now, white people?
Oh, yeah.
Sound better?
Yep.
So here's what I was saying. I don't trust Rod Smith because, number 1, Alfred Morris got a majority of carries, right?
Yep.
Good still? He had 19 carries for 62 yards. Rod Smith only had 6 carries. And then Rod Smith had 5 yards. What happens in games like these are offensive coordinators, coaches, they see a matchup what they like, and they try to exploit it. Not just this game, but in every game. This just worked out perfectly for them. Rod Smith isn't going to see any more touches than what he came in, I guess, just like he's been seeing the rest of the year. So I don't think you're going to expect to see more because of this game, a result of this game. I think it was just a matchup plan where he's better catching up for more. It worked out perfectly for him.
I think there's going to be a lot.
Touchdowns.
I think there's going to be a lot of hype around the name. 1, because of the matchup. 2, because of the touchdowns and the amount of total yardage. And 3, because it's the last week before Zeke comes back. So someone's going to be looking for that guy that's going to be able to get those carries. So I think someone's going to do it. Like, that question's going to be posed all week. And I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence of it. If I had to have a take on it right now, in all these scenarios, it's going to depend on who else you have. I really like that matchup. That's why I almost want to say yes, but exactly the reasons you said are why I probably would end up saying no on that. 1, maybe you could pick him up as a little bit of defense and not even start him, but at the same time, it's like you said, he got out-snapped, he got out-carried, he just kind of happened to be the guy that got the touchdowns. And what are the odds of him having that repeat performance? A guy like Rod Smith, it's not like he's like a guaranteed starter. He's not an awesome stud. He's not that guy that you're going to be able to count on. So him coming back from 100-plus yards and 2 touchdowns seems really unlikely to me. You have anything else you want to add to that one?
Yep.
Oh.
Nothing else to add.
Oh, nothing else?
That's my single syllable.
All right. Lions, Bucks, what do you got? Lions 24, Bucks 21, by the way.
I said, what's next is my single syllable. How do you proceed with Jameis if you're the Buccaneers? Like, I texted you today during this game, and I said, I'm fucking done with Jameis Winston. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. I wanted to get up his stat line.
I did find it funny after you text me that, he proceeded to throw 2 more touchdowns, like, right afterwards.
Yeah, but at that point, it's like garbage, and it doesn't really matter. And I'm talking about just not in fantasy perspective, but just as a Bucs.
Just in general, he threw another
like
two picks today, I think.
2 interceptions. He's bad. He makes bad decisions. That's what he does. It's like, what I was gonna say is, how do you proceed here? Do you chalk this up as an unhealthy year, just overall? Like, guys couldn't stay on the field. Doug Martin was, suspended for the 4 games. Jameis got hurt. Evans got in a fight. He was out. It's just like a lot of things seem to go really wrong.
The Hurricane week 1, they couldn't even play their week 1 game. Yeah. They didn't get a bye later.
And That's the other thing. I forgot about that. They didn't even get a bye, really, because they just started in week 2 and had to play every game. So they had to work through that. It was just not. It was Hard Knocks curse. Who knows?
The Hard Knocks curse, yeah. I don't know that you can punt on him quite yet. I'd want to give him a little bit more time, but yeah, this kind of has the feeling that it has the same making as like a Dalton, like where you're okay with him, but is he your answer? I don't know, but you spent a first pick on him, so I don't think that you can give up on him too quick. But it's also like, well, he's had success in the past, but he was also playing with Mike Evans, so was it that hard? I mean, we saw Randy Moss make these average quarterbacks look awesome, too. So, yeah, I don't know that you can quite punt on him yet. You probably have to give him another go-around. Like you said, they had a lot of things go wrong. Lots of things go wrong. But at the same token, it's like...
too, so.
Like you said, though, it comes down to his decision-making. It's not like he's just terrible all the time. He shows decent flashes, but at the same token, it's big plays in the game, and he's throwing just terrible balls, and I don't know. There's definitely something missing there, but it's too early for me to punt on him.
Yeah.
My instant reaction is same predicament. It's going to be the same predicament that people had this week about using Theo Riddick. People are going to be 50-50 on the idea of using him in fantasy again next week, especially if Amir Abdullah either doesn't go or if he isn't 100%. Because we were talking about it earlier, you told someone today not to use Theo Riddick. He proceeds to go for 2 rushing touchdowns, just 29 yards on 10 carries. So you were kind of right. You just happened to be the guy that
scored. It annoys me. You fucking scored.
So he had 29 yards, 18 of them were on 1 touchdown run.
Yeah.
So that means he had 9 carries for 11 yards outside of that. So 6 for 64 on 10 targets. That's probably the thing that you can rely on most, though, with a guy like Riddick. So I'll ask you now before you get to this same question earlier in the week from a listener. Using Theo Riddick next week or not comfortable in the semifinals?
I got to assume Abdullah is playing, so he takes even less of a role, so no. I mean, if I'm a PPR, I'm using him. But non-PPR, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, those touchdowns, well, one was basically a goal line
score
carry.
Typically, so it's an anomaly.
Yeah, and like the Lions, when they do score rushing touchdowns, they're usually goal line. I feel like an 18-yard rushing touchdown was the longest rushing touchdown by the Lions in quite some time. So yeah, I'm not huge on Riddick. It's going to depend on your matchup, so go ahead and fire us that question if you want us versus specific people. But in general, I'm not huge on Riddick next week, especially in your semis. Let's go to the Panthers, not beating up on the Vikings, but beating them 31-24.
This one, just my single syllable here is let me down. Like, come on. The Vikings have been winning all fucking year, winning 8 in a row, and then the Packers need them to get a big win, beat these damn Panthers, get them to 5 losses so we can go play them next week, give them their 6, make it a little closer in that wild card race so we'd have the tiebreaker. But no, they go ahead and they just fucking lose it. Like, I feel like they did it on purpose because they know they have the division.
I would say they know they have the division, and this way it hurts the Packers a little bit more. That's a good conspiracy theory.
All 3 of I hope they lose their next 3 games, and the Packers win their next 3, and the Packers win the division based off of some kind of matchup tiebreaker.
Wild tiebreaker.
Piss me off.
That is a great conspiracy. Isn't it wild, though, how, like, Cam is kind of like that Winston. I think he's better than Winston, but it's like he makes some bonehead plays, but he just took that game over with that long run today and put him in a chance to basically win it and seal the deal, and he did. It's like, that guy, I don't know how to project Cam Newton. I never do. He's the one great unknown.
Every single person in the world was down on Cam Newton, and they should have been, and he played well.
Right. My single syllable is trade worked out, and right now I'm talking about Calvin Benjamin. Carolina traded him before having to pay him big money. He was still on his rookie deal. They got better for the future by getting a draft pick. You already have a big-bodied wide receiver in Devin Funchess, who seems to be just as good as Calvin Benjamin. You still probably need a wide receiver in the offseason, but I think this team is better off overall. I mean, Benjamin and Funchess seemed a little bit too much alike. I think they're fine with just one of those big guys. And now you don't really need to worry about the inevitable Calvin Benjamin injury that's going to happen. I mean, I really think that this trade worked. This team is no different with or without him. He's not he's not a game changer. They've been just as good, if not better, without him. So I think this was a great trade for the Panthers. After having a couple of weeks, anyways, to see.
What did they even get in return for him? I don't even know.
Future draft pick.
Draft picks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, Funchess is a good wide receiver, and Benjamin's just a big fatty. So he doesn't really move. He's more of a tight end.
Whoa! Did you die there?
They should almost ruin the tight end. What?
No, your sound went funny there. It sounded like you might have gotten shot.
You need to get your shit figured out.
Yep.
Yeah. No. He's just a fat tight end now.
My instant reaction for the Bills game was going to be, this is a Calvin Benjamin game, because that snow, the way that field was the greatest equalizer of all time. No one could move fast. So I'm like, well, Benjamin is the same as every other receiver, but he's taller, so throw him the damn ball. But they had Peterman and Webb, so they couldn't do it
Joe Webb up there.
That was great to see. Shout out Joe Webb. Let's go to the 49ers beating the Texans 26-16. What do you got?
Comeback week. I went 2-1 on my bets for you guys this week. Finally, best week for 8 weeks since Kareem Hunt played well. Let's go. Let's go. I nailed the Niners. I can't even remember whoever it was earlier, and I just lost. Your mom.
Nice. But hey, you went 2-1. That's a nice comeback.
I went 2-1.
Proud of you.
I don't even know how my suck picks went.
Well, we'll hit that in the midweek one. Let's not spend too much on this one, because my instant reaction is Hopkins, because the only thing I care to talk about in this game is DeAndre Hopkins. 11 catches, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. This time around with both Tom Savage and TJ Yates. It can't get much worse than that. I'm asking you for next year, would you have Hopkins rated higher in fantasy than both Mike Evans and Odell Beckham Jr.?
As long as he has a quarterback who's not Brock Osweiler. Apparently that's the answer.
That's literally the answer. Give Hopkins anyone but Brock, and you'll be fine.
That's how bad Brock Osweiler is. These quarterbacks are so shitty, but they at least know to fucking
just feed the right guy.
This direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Right now, I would probably have him higher than Mike Evans. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a big question mark for me. One, coming back from a pretty gruesome injury, and two, who knows the quarterback situation there. So I really don't know what to think about Odell Beckham moving forward. But we just talked about Evans and Winston, and man, that offense is just in shambles right now. And it doesn't seem to matter with Hopkins. As long as you throw him the ball, he's fine. So I'm pretty high on Hopkins right now. Let's talk Broncos and Jets. Broncos 23, the Jets a goose egg. What do you got?
Done.
Nothing? Moving on?
No, yeah.
All right, my instant reaction is nope, because I am the same exact way as you, so I figured I would break out random trivia. It's making a triumphant return.
Yeah, random trivia.
Are you ready for your random trivia question?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing ever.
Last time you went 3 for 3. This time I only have 1.
I know. This will be tough. Well, it's kind of 2, right?
Oh, kind of, yes. Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy winner, announced last night, got the 3rd highest percentage of possible points in Heisman voting. Who were the previous winners that are the top 2?
So one of my guesses is, there's one reason you'd bring this up. So I gotta say, one of them's gotta be Tim Tebow.
Okay, and do you have a second guess?
My second guess is, I'm struggling on this one, but I'm gonna go Reggie Bush.
Well, according to the Heisman Trophy Trust, Reggie Bush has never won a Heisman Trophy.
Do they not count Reggie Bush? Okay. My other one would be, I don't know, Air Crutch.
No, but he was there last night, and he looks like he has a disease. He is tiny. It didn't help that they had him standing right next to Tim Tebow. So.
I had to throw my Nebraska guy out there.
No, unfortunately, you went over 2. Number 1 and number 2 are Troy Smith.
Don't know who that is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do. He's actually accidentally made a podcast appearance before because I said the wrong name. And Marcus Mariota. Those are your top 2. So you're now lifetime 3 for 4 on random trivia. So you still have a good percentage, but we'll see if we have another crappy game next week if we can play this game again.
All right. I definitely will. I guarantee that.
I like that game. We should do that more often. Well, there's going to be some more crappy games.
I get excited when we do that.
Those are good. Let's move on to the Cardinals. This was a crappy game. Cardinals win 12-7 over the.
So bad.
12-7 in a must-win game for the Titans. What do you got?
Let's make these quick. Okay, same question as Winston. Where do you go here from here with Mariota? He sucks. The Titans fucking suck. They're really bad. You gotta give him another year or what?
I'll answer my question with my instant reaction because it'll bleed in. Because my instant reaction is concede. I think it's time for me to give up on Tennessee winning the South. I've held on too long. You cannot lose to the Arizona Cardinals with the division on the line like that. You can't score 7 points on offense against that team. You can't have 0 passing touchdowns. You can't throw 2 picks. And you can't average 3 yards per carry on the ground. But I'm going to tell you this. While I am conceding on the Titans, I still don't believe in the Jags in the playoffs. But I am going to concede. I think I lost this battle with you. But in regards to Mariota, though, same answer as Winston. I've been nothing but disappointed in him this year. I think he has still like 9 passing touchdowns on the year. That's terrible. As like a third-year quarterback, you have to have some sort of improvement from that, especially on a team that should be running the ball better and making him better. They can't seem to do anything, and I think that would be improved on by a quarterback that could make some plays down the field. Teams that can just load the box against this offense, and it's making the running game ineffective. It's making Mariota ineffective, and they're just a team that's just stuck.
Hey, did Danny Woodhead turn into a fullback while he was injured? Because he just caught the ball, and I thought he was literally the fullback. He looked huge.
He's looking bigger? Maybe
he looked fat.
Maybe he's tired of getting hurt, and he's just trying to get a little bit more weight. So
hey, that's it. He looked big.
I don't know. I totally missed it there. I did not see him on there.
I'm sorry. I just was distracted by a fat white guy, and I saw Woodhead.
No worries. Sure it was him.
Yeah, it was definitely him.
All right. Let's move on to the Chargers throttling of the Redskins, 30-13. What do you got?
Well, I'm gonna let you go again.
Okay. My instant
I looked at your notes before I put mine down.
Perfect. Mine is ideal because this is super ideal for the Chargers right now. They just beat the shit out of the Redskins. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Raiders played, so one of them had to lose. Now you've got the Chargers getting the win, and the rest of the schedule is the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Raiders. That's not intimidating by any means. Keenan Allen goes for over 100 yards. Rivers goes for over 300. Gordon finds the end zone. The team gets over 160 on the ground. So, really like the Chargers right now. My question I'll pose to you is, if they make the playoffs, do they or the Steelers pose the biggest threat to the Patriots?
You know what? Okay, I'm going to answer your question before I fucking complain. I think that the Chargers do because of a whole gamut of things. I think Philip Rivers is more consistent, clearly. I think their defense is a little bit better matched up with the Patriots because the Patriots aren't a huge running team and they can defend the pass so well.
That's true.
That I think their strength works against the Patriots' strength, and their weakness, they can almost more not have to like load the box a little bit more. I guess not load it, but they can play a little more even. And if we work these versus weakness and strength versus strength, it matches up a lot better. And I think Philip Rivers and Keenan Allen can go off, and Hunter Henry as well, and just everybody that Philip Rivers throws it to.
Yeah, I like that, and I didn't think about how they would match up like that. Like you said, if there's a weakness with that Chargers defense, it's against the run, and this Pittsburgh or New England would only really rely on their run game in an all-out game if they had like an early lead, and even then they'll keep passing. But yeah, that's a good take, and based on the Steelers' inconsistency, I think I'm with you there. Do you have anything else?
So yeah, I'm pissed because I looked at your notes before I did mine, and you grabbed every topic that I was going to bring up. First, you go over their fucking schedule.
Yep.
Then you go over Keenan Allen tearing it up, which is what I wanted to talk about. And then I literally was like, I'm going to ask if the Chargers have now become maybe the biggest threat in the AFC. And then I fucking look and you have that down.
Thorough.
You can't cover 3 topics all in one thing. That's not okay.
No, that was legit cheating the single syllable system. I apologize for that.
Shit, Joe Flacco.
I apologize for that. I won't do that again.
Yeah, don't do that again because you literally took everything I needed to say.
Let's go through the Eagles-Rams entertaining game of the day. Eagles win 43-35. Well, do you want me to do mine?
Well, let's just go. Fuck it. Go for
it. Okay. Weird. I am going to say effed because the little bit that I've been able to see from the reports on Carson Wentz, if he gets hurt, that's legit the NFL MVP. And I mean, Foles has played, he has experience, he's had some success, but that's not Carson Wentz, man. We saw him today. We've seen him all year. Making great throws, making plays outside of the pocket. The guy has great pocket awareness. Like, he can run. He's athletic. Big arm, accurate arm. He legit has done it all. And now, if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, or if he's not going to be the same with his mobility, because they've had a couple of offensive line issues. They lost their starting left tackle for the year. It's going to be a little bit to come back from, and just Nick Foles isn't on the same level. So I think this really opens the gates for another team in the NFC, whether that's the Vikings, but they lost today, so I don't know. The Eagles they're probably going to be okay, but they're not going to be to the level that they were.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, off the top of my head, I can think of opening the door. So when I think of it, it really sucks. It does. I don't like to see these guys go down. Like, Carson Wentz has become, in this just this 1 year, a premier quarterback. Like, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Tom Brady, but he's just right one step below them, right there. He's never going to be Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's just not going to beat that. But
he's like the next class of quarterbacks.
The closest thing to Aaron Rodgers that we've seen I think we've ever seen in general as just a pure quarterback. As far as accuracy, like escaping, like how good he is in the red zone, all of that stuff. He's got Aaron Rodgers specialist in him. So that sucks, but I think they're opening door for the Green Bay Packers when they make the playoffs. There's one team I didn't think Green Bay could beat. There's one team I didn't think Green Bay could beat when they get to the playoffs. It was the Eagles with Carson Wentz, because they have it all going. But if they don't have Carson Wentz, I think Aaron Rodgers can pick them apart, and then fucking what's his name, Nick Foles, will do his stupid stuff. So you know what? I think I feel a little Packers Super Bowl coming on.
Oh my gosh, it was good to see the Eagles be able to come back, just kind of just get through that injury. I mean, they still had to play a decent amount of the fourth quarter with that injury. They beat a good team on the road, so that's a great win. But that's one game. That's when your emotions are still riding high. You're running on adrenaline. Yeah. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough if he misses an extended period of time. One more game here. We got the Jaguars holding on to beat the Seahawks 30-24. What do you got?
Bad people is my single syllable here. It's just the Bennetts. I said this before, and now I have to say it again. Michael Bennett gets to the fight again. He's throwing punches. He doesn't get ejected somehow. Some other fucking dude does that was trying to go in the stands. But he started this whole fight. He's the one who started throwing punches. The Bennetts are overall selfish pieces of shit that only care about themselves, and it's becoming more and more evident anytime you hear them, every time you see them. All they care about is themselves. Like, I hope the entire NFL world can see all they care about is themselves. Those two fucking guys don't care about anything else. It's just them, and they try to make themselves look like more like politically correct and all this stuff. But the more you hear from them, the more you realize how fucking vain and egotistical and just ignorant these guys are assholes. Like, I hate the Seahawks in general because that whole fight, like, they were gonna lose. Just take the loss. Why do you have to start fighting with people at the end? Like, give me a break.
In my dream scenario where you're yelling at an NFL player from the stands, you're going to be hammered. The team that you're fighting with is obviously not the Packers, and it's a road team, and they're going to lose. And it ends up being a team that a Bennett is on, and you're yelling at a Bennett, and he beats the shit out of you. That's what I'm.
He would not.
That's my bold prediction for the Sunday night game.
They would probably cower at the end. Those pussies.
I love it. You bring a sign calling them out.
I'll fuck them all up.
My instant reaction is streaming. Can you feel confident streaming your boy Blake Bortles if you have a bad matchup? Well, listen to this, because there's an idea here. You stream Blake Bortles if your normal starter has a bad matchup, or what happens if you had Carson Wentz and the injury keeps him out? Bortles plays the Texans next week. I don't remember exactly what he finished with, but he had a pretty good game against a decent defense there in Seattle.
No.
You wouldn't use.
No.
Well, who are you going to use then? Say you had Wentz. What if you're only having one quarterback?
You could run the. They run the ball so much. There's got to be a better.
All right.
I don't trust their play calling enough to think that he's going to have another game like that. He hasn't had a close game like that all year. So
it's been a little while, but would you take?
I'm not going to have.
Would you use Blake Bortles against the Texans? Let me pull up a guy that might.
I was going to say, we need to do a scenario almost.
So it's going to be a scenario. So another guy that would be potentially available if you lost Carson Wentz then would be Jimmy Garoppolo, who plays the Titans.
Yeah.
You would use
my bad. That's my scenario. Yeah, they're going to let him throw the ball, so I like his weapon.
Jimmy Garoppolo instead of Bortles. Man, I can't believe this, but I think I'm on the Bortles train over Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, you can't be.
I didn't think I'd get back on. I didn't think there's any tickets left on that train, but there was one, and it's mine.
I love Blake Bortles. I think he looked good today. I think he could continue to play like this. I just don't think they'll allow him to play like this.
That's a good point.
Give him the opportunity.
Do you want to do a prediction for the Sunday night game, or since it's already going?
I was just going to say the same thing as you were going to say anyway, so.
All right, I got Pitt in an ugly win. You got anything else you want to add?
Yeah. No, I want to go do the dishes.
All right, you do the dishes. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. As I said earlier, tweet any fantasy questions you have on Twitter at LoadedBox. We'll be back midweek for our Week 15 preview podcast, Fantasy Football Semifinals. Can't believe it's here. Check us out on iTunes, Loaded Box. Subscribe, rate, review. You know the drill. DJ, send us out.
Bye.